What's going on, everyone? Steven here with Techmaker Studio. In this video, we're going to keep going with our ER-721 smart contract for this generative NFT minting project. In the last episode, we pretty much focused on how to make this base URI customizable, which is going to be important for us probably in the next 2 or 3 episodes. But in this episode, I want to go ahead and move on to actually hooking up the minting process so we can generate NFTs like on a kind of a crowd sale on our website or whatever. So the first thing I want to take care of is actually getting paid. So right now, when you run this purchase function, it doesn't actually pay the owner of the project. So in the end of the last episode, if you look in our constructor, actually not in the constructor, no, just kidding. We actually imported this library up here on line 6, ownable, and then we just set the contract to ownable. And the ownable contract, if you look at it, has in its constructor, which we're actually using here via inheritance, it sets the owner of this contract to whoever it is that minted the contract or created the contract on chain. So that gives us access to an underscore owner variable, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we can either call owner like this, or we can call underscore owner. Since we're in the contract, we'll just use the underscore owner. But what we want to basically do is transfer the amount of money required to the owner. So let's go ahead and take care of that by writing a test first. So for this first part, we can actually go ahead and just add this to this "it allows a person to purchase one NFT" test. And all I'm going to do is come in here, and first thing is say let owner equal accounts 0, because remember in Truffle we have this list of accounts, and the first one is always the one that's like by default deploying things and so on, which is why here we have to specify from buyer, because by default it would be from owner since we set it to account 0. So what I want to do is start by just saying let owner balance equal, and then we'll say web3.eth.get balance, and then we'll pass in the owner, and let's do await here, and then we'll say owner balance equals web3 not web4, web3.utils.from way, so convert from way back into like readable numbers basically, and we want to say ether was the base number. So let's just make sure we have a balance here. So we'll say in all caps owner balance, and then just print out owner balance. So we'll run this test, and I may actually have not fixed this test. Probably did. We'll see. If not, it's fine. We'll still see our console log, hopefully. And it should be just under 100. Yeah, so you can see here 99.99. And the reason for that is just because basically this account is responsible for deploying the contracts, so it spent a little gas doing that. But all these accounts that we have start out with 100 ETH when we run these tests. Okay, so what we want to do is come down here. So we're going to set the owner balance there, and actually let's change the name just to make it clear. So we'll say let's starting balance, and let's make sure we switch this here and here. Okay, now let's come down here, and at the end let's add a new line and say ending balance. And we want to make sure that basically this ending balance is the price of the NFT more, right? So we should be able to say assert equal parse float, and then we'll say ending balance, and this isn't going to be quite right, and then we'll say parse float starting balance plus 0.05, because each NFT is going to cost 0.05 ETH. So what we're going to do instead of that is say is above, and this, so you get precision errors when you use decimals sometimes. So just to make sure this doesn't fail, we want to say is above this plus 0.499, like that, and then I'm going to do the same thing for is below. And also, for some reason, so this one's going to be 0.51111, like that. Imported a assert up there that I don't want. Now this is going to be failing now, hopefully. And it is, but not for the reason that I wanted, because we forgot to change this. I should say I forgot to change this. And actually, we don't need that. We don't need that console log anyways. And also, I just noticed this should be ending balance. This is the danger of copy and paste, but it's also a good reason to write tests, because it catches a lot of stuff. As you can see, I came back over here and saw, like, what the heck is that? So we'll fix this, and hopefully now our test fails for the reason that we want, which is it should give us that we actually have the wrong number. So you can see here that we're off by 0.05. So that's exactly what we want. I noticed something in the code just now. We actually have a little problem because we have the same variable. So we have let owner up here. I'm going to go ahead and then we have owner down here when we're checking who the owner of the frog is. I'm going to change this to contract owner. Just go ahead and replace that in a couple of places. And let's go ahead and run the test again and see. So now we're getting a different problem. These are identical and it's expecting to be above, so on and so forth. Let's actually comment out these tests here. And what I'm going to do is just console log my starting balance. I may have thought about this a little bit wrong when I got myself going here. Let's see. And let's do starting balance. And let's come down here and do the same thing for ending balance. And if these are identical, I may have written something in those asserts wrong. Let's see. But they should be the same because there's this address has executed no transactions, right? So now those are the same. So let's just do an assert equal. We may have to change it. I kind of pre-optimized this and did the ranges, but let's just assert dot equal. I need to get rid of whatever that's doing. Let's do ending balance, and then let's do starting balance plus 0.05. And I believe these are strings, which is why I'm doing it like this. We can go ahead and parse float there, and we can parse float here. Now let's see what we get. We should get an actual error now because obviously adding 0.05 to the ending balance or the starting balance is going to be messing it up. Right, so we expected 100.04 and we got 99.996. Okay, that took longer than I thought to get a failing test. Sorry about that. I kind of confused myself going through this. But as you know, if you follow the channel, that's part of the point, is I like to work through things somewhat live. Obviously, I do a little bit of prep, but it's not just a tutorial thing. I want you to get a feel for actually working through stuff. So what we need to do here is actually now make this test pass. And to do that, we actually need to transfer money to the owner. So if we look back in our ownable contract, you'll see we can't actually talk to this owner variable because it's private, but we can access it via this owner method. So what we can do is say owner, like this. We'll need to cast it as payable so that it can actually receive money, and then we'll transfer message.value. Let's just start with that, and we'll go from there. hopefully this works. We probably will have to add a is above, is below thing to actually make sure the tests pass all the time. Okay, well, it's passing, so we'll leave it for now with the assert is equal. First thing I want to do is add a price variable, and we're going to say that it is, I think we can do like this, 0.5 ether, 0.05 ether. And then we'll need a UNT 256 private price like that. Undeclared identifier, did you mean price? Oh, I didn't put the underscore. My bad. There we go. So what we're going to do here is say transfer price. Let's run the test again. And with this, we should be getting pretty close to being done with this video. I'm going to add one more thing. So what I want to do is guard against somebody sending us too little money. So let's say it requires the correct amount of money. And then we'll do async. Now all I'm going to do here is just copy all this top stuff like that. And then right here where we're awaiting this, I'm going to say truffle assert dot reverts. Put that there. Come down here and put another parenthesis. And let's put 0.02. And it's probably going to fail because it's going to try to transfer more money than is actually in the message. So we can see that it did revert actually because it's expecting a revert. So by the fact that it didn't fail means it reverted. So what I'm going to do here is just add a message that says not enough ETH. Or not, ETH sent, something like that. And now we'll actually have to write some code. So you could argue that we don't actually need to do what I'm about to do necessarily, potentially. But I like to be really explicit about things when they're failing to the best of my ability. So if we go back over to frog, first thing I'm going to do is just say require message.value is greater than or equal to the price, and then we'll paste in this message that we want whenever it's failing like that. Not enough, and I should probably spell that correctly in my test too because I copied that over. Okay, so let's run this again, and I think we'll wrap up this video here if this is working. Okay, cool. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is make it so that we can actually purchase a specific quantity. As you can see, we're accepting a quantity here, so we're going to refactor this and have it where you can buy like up to 10 or something like that at a time. And we're also going to have a max amount. So we'll say like, you can't mint more than like 10 or something for the test. In my real project, I think it's going to be either like 250 or 500 maybe. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of debating some different ideas. But in any case, I think that's pretty much it for this video. Sorry it was a little bit of a struggle. But yeah, I'll talk to you in the next one.